stop waiting for inspiration. Most people think that writing a book is some kind of mysterious, magical process, but what it actually is a series of 6 practical steps. So if you have the dream today to write a book, I've got the blueprint for you. And by the end of this video, you're going to know how to write your book in 6 steps. My name is Victoria Lord, and I help people to start their first book using the 5-day book starter. So let's dive in and let's do these 6 steps. Okay, the first 2 steps are all about the inner work of becoming an author. And the very first step is with the acknowledging your desire, because often we go through life and we're busy, like we go to work and we go and drop the kids off to school and we make dinner and we have all this stuff going on, and we sometimes forget about our own desire. And this is nobody's fault. It's just one of them things that life gets busy. And then one day you're like, oh, I have this desire to write a book. And if you don't catch that desire, life will just float away. So you have the right and the permission right now to acknowledge that desire. Go and explore that desire. And what is it calling you for? Is it calling you for doing some more self-development? Do you want to write your book because it's going to create a whole new you? When I first wrote my book, Free Your Heart, Live Your Life, it totally changed my world. I didn't realize that I was on such a self-exploration journey. And by the time I'd finished this book, I was a totally different person. And that is a priceless experience that I can put on anything. And if there's one reason to write a book, is to totally change your own personal life. So that was my desire. What's your desire? Is it to leave a legacy to your children or your children's children? Or did you want to grow your skill as a writer or a copywriter or something in the creative space? What's your desire? And right now, acknowledge it, that it is 100% valid. And the second key or the step to becoming an author is to use our incredible imagination. And we use our imagination and imagine the end result of holding a book. And the reason why we use our imagination attached to our desire right off the very beginning of these 6 steps is because imagination is what's going to take your book from a wannabe to a finished project. Because we've got this part in our mind, it's called the RAS. But what that does is when we start to use our imagination, we focus on the book that we're going to hold in our hands. It's going to put some things in our path. So if you imagine we've got this windy path that we're walking down, becoming an author, we're imagining that we've got the skill sets along the way. And so along this road, we're going to find the skill sets. The best way I could probably describe this actually is if you think of the Wizard of Oz, she's following the yellow brick road. And along the way to her destination, which was the wizard, but we'll use our destination as having a completed book in our hands. So the end result is the book, but we've got to go down this twirly yellow brick road to get there. And along the way, we've got to meet the man who is the lion. He's got the courage. So we're going to find the courage along the way. Then we're going to get the Tin Man, and we're going to find some heart and some real depth along the way. And then we're going to meet the Scarecrow, and we're going to be, what's a scarecrow? I can't remember the scarecrow now. So I got the heart, which is Tin Man, courage, and I had a brain. So what we want to do is add some common sense along the way. So if you think of your roadmap, like you're on a road writing your book, the imagination is going to keep you there, and it's going to grow along the way as well. When I first did my first book was called How to Be Happy Being You. And I didn't know that that was going to turn into a 3-part series along the way. But my imagination saw this one book completed. And so when I went on my journey of my book, my imagination saw it completed and I finished it. And then the next book evolved out of that. So imagination will grow as you grow. And it's a very exciting process. So we can't underestimate the power of your desire and the power of your imagination to pull you through writing your book. Okay, so we've been through step 1 and 2, and that's all about the inner work of becoming an author, which is essential. It's key before moving on. And step number 3 is actually the practical side of becoming an author. And so the best way I can do this is to show you what I do for each chapter. So if I show you this line, that's how I start each chapter. And let me bring this into fruition for you. So if you get your pen and you start putting your pen to paper, you'll start brainstorming. So you'll come back 1 page and you get your pen and you start writing. And if you don't know what to write, you just write them words. I don't know what to write. But if I did know what to write, this is what I would write. And then you start to write what's coming out of you. And what happens is after about 5, 10 minutes of what's coming out of you, you'll feel this release, and then you'll start to be in what's called the flow of the creative spark. And so you've got to give yourself that at least 10 minutes putting pen to paper. And what will happen after 10 minutes, you'll have a little masterpiece. It might be a paragraph or it might be a whole page after 10 minutes, but it will be really powerful. And then you come to your squiggly line. And so you start to write down, same thing with your heart, all the dot points for your book. And so I find that pen to paper is best for writing dot points. So if you think of your book, if you think of the imagination of the end of your book, so the end of the book was a free heart for me. So the end is a free heart. But if we come to the beginning, the journey to get the free heart, we've got to take some steps along the way. So if you think of your book, what are some steps that you need to take your reader on? Another way that this might help, let me draw another guide for you. So pretend we've got a bridge and we're going to take our reader from A to B. And you look at the 6 steps that you need to cross the bridge. What's the first thing you need to cross the bridge? Well, you might need to acknowledge your desire is valid. So the first thing is desire. The second thing that you probably need on the bridge is to know that your imagination is powerful. So the next thing they need to learn is how to use their imagination in a powerful way, not a destructive way. And the third thing they'll need to know is how to build courage. And the third thing, and then by the end of it, they've gone from a sad, unhappy heart to this amazing happy heart. So on your journey, what are the steps that you want to go on? You can either draw your little bridge like this, or you can do what I do and do the roadmap and do all the stepping stones along the way. Because if you go to a duck park or something, one of the ones that I went to had these stepping stones where you could cross over the water. And so we're going to take step by step by step over the water. And that will only come up to pass if you put your pen to paper. And if you feel like you're still thinking how to write my book, you would like my 5-day book starter, which I will guide you through starting your book in 5 days. So put your pen to paper, that's your challenge for today. And let's get on to step 4. Okay, step 4 is my most favorite part of the book, and that's bringing the imagery to life. So we use some imagery to really bring the character and the themes to life. So one of my favorite styles of book writing is storytelling. And so it's mythical storytelling. Mythic means the meaning out of a story. So if you think of someone going on an adventure and they have like we use the heart, for example, over the bridge, they had a sad heart and then they crossed the bridge and they had a happy heart. So that's the meaning in the story, and we turn it into a story along the way. And so instead of saying the woman crossed the bridge, we want to add some vivid imagery to it. So we take it a step back and we use our 5 senses for this. So the woman's crossing the bridge. Yes, but what can you say from what you can see? What can you hear? What can you touch? What can you smell? And what can you taste? So the way that we would do this, so instead of the woman is crossing the bridge, we say the woman put her hand on the bridge and felt the wooden archway with some cast iron knobs along it. And then as she took one step onto the first plank, she saw two ducks floating under the bridge, quacking at each other, what she hears. And they went to the lily pad, which had a white flower growing out of it. And this made her think of the magical wonderland of um, of this is where you keep writing. So this is your challenge. Keep writing, even though you don't know. And so she gets to the magical wonderland of the elves, and she sees again um, someone walking towards her, and so she's going to have a connection with somebody else. And so this vivid imagery that we add to our books, it adds the depth and it adds the reader into the imagination. And so I want you to challenge that today when you're writing your book. What's one form of vivid imagery that you can add to your book? Can we use it with the five senses, with our sight, our hearing, with our touch, and five senses are incredible for bringing your book to life. Okay, step number five is once you've written your manuscript, so your manuscript will now have gone from your pen and paper into your computer. And once you've got it ready, you can ask, this is a very important step, you can ask someone that you trust to read your book, because from my experience, there were some flaws in my book that needed some fixing. And so after asking for this feedback, I knew some areas that I could change in my book that would make it very readable for other readers. And a lot of time, you may feel like skipping this step. I felt like skipping this step, but I'm really happy that I did get some people to read it so that it could just flow smoother, and I didn't have any guilt or shame or anxiety when it goes out into the world. You know, you can release it with a sense of happiness and relief. So getting that trusted feedback is key to creating a masterpiece that you will be very proud of. And even if your book doesn't have anything in it that makes you feel uneasy, you can still get it read by somebody and take their kind feedback and make it better if you want to. And I rushed my second book, and just an added little tip here is that really take the time to get someone to read it. It's priceless. I think it's very valuable, and it makes you a better author as well moving on. So don't skip that little step. Let's go into the next one. Last part is that we're going to tweak and refine our book. This is step number 6. So after somebody has read your book and you've got the feedback from this person that, yeah, that's either an awesome book, nothing needs changing, then you can go ahead and publish. But if something does need changing, then we need to tweak and refine the book. And when I tweaked and refined my book, I took some stuff out. It still held the meaning. It was still very powerful. And now it was ready to go out into the world. So this is a very important step. Also, with your book cover, when I did my book cover, I had a grammar mistake on my very book cover itself. So it's really helpful if somebody does go and have a look over your stuff for you, because we are these amazing people who can do so much ourselves. But that second set of eyes or third set of eyes really brings it into completion. And if you don't have anyone that you feel like you can talk to about your book, I have the Author's Quest, which is a writing club for women. And you can come and there'll be people in there who can read your book for you, or who would like to read your book and have some nice kind feedback, even from myself, about on your book and getting it further. And that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. And if you have any questions about the 6 steps to writing your book, you can leave it below and I will answer. I will see you in the next video.